Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. First up, a fresh hire deals with a department loudmouth who thinks harassment counts as humor. But instead of starting drama or filing complaints, the new guy discovers the joker's deepest weakness, an unwavering 8-year attachment to a single parking space, and uses it to quietly dismantle his entire routine. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Boss said I wouldn't last. To make a long story short, during my first week at this job, the boss of another department decided I was going to be his new entertainment. You know the type. Loud, smug, thinks he's the funniest man alive because no one's ever bothered to tell him otherwise. One or two wisecracks fine. I can roll with workplace banter like anyone else, but he kept going long after it was clear I wasn't laughing, wasn't biting, wasn't engaging. The man was basically performing stand-up for an audience of one who didn't buy a ticket. Now here's the thing about people like that. They always have a weakness. Some Achilles heel that doesn't look like one until you push the right button. His? Oh, it was beautiful. The guy is obsessive, like hardcore OCD about routines, order, predictability. And one of his greatest sources of pride was that he had parked in the exact same parking space every single day for the last 8 years. Not just the same lot, the same physical rectangle of asphalt. He practically considered it his assigned throne. So around the end of my first week, after yet another forced joke at my expense, I made a decision. Nothing dramatic, nothing confrontational, no HR reports, no memos, no hallway arguments, just a simple change in my morning. I started leaving my house 10 minutes earlier, just early enough to take his spot. Day one, he pulled in, slowed down, saw my car in his space, and drove off with a visible twitch. I pretended not to notice. Day two, same reaction, but now he looked directly at me when he walked past, like he was waiting for me to apologize. I didn't. Day three, he muttered something under his breath when he passed my desk. No joke, no smile, just irritation brewing like a pot left on the stove too long. By the end of week 2, the shift in him was unmistakable. The snarky, sarcastic tone he started with had evaporated. Suddenly, he was speaking to me like a normal human, using a polite indoor voice, not cracking jokes unless someone else initiated them. Old-timers in the office even started whispering about how something must be going on with him because apparently the guy has lived off sarcasm and routine for the better part of a decade. Meanwhile, I just kept showing up early enough to claim that parking space every single day. Rain, shine, cold, heat wave, didn't matter. At this point, I built it into my internal clock. Wake up, coffee, parking spot, work. It's exactly the kind of petty routine that fuels me in ways therapy never could. Now, I'd love to say this whole thing turned him into a friend or some sort of respectful coworker, but honestly, I don't care. I'm not looking for friendship. He showed me his hand during week 1. He's someone who punches down until someone punches back softly enough that he can pretend nothing happened. I don't trust people like that, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. So now I mostly ignore him. No hard feelings, but no interest in chit-chat either. He gets the generic professional version of me and nothing more. And as for the parking spot, oh, that's mine now. Even if he apologized and begged me to give it back, I don't think I would. It's not about the asphalt anymore. It's about establishing that I'm not the new chew toy in the office. Here's the fun part, though. I've only been here 6 weeks, and they're already throwing me a promotion. Seriously, my manager pulled me aside last week and told me they've been impressed with how quickly I've adapted, the quality of my work, and how well I've been handling things. Apparently, I'm a stabilizing presence. Wild how that happens, right? Fresh employee doing the job well, keeping his head down, and only unleashing petty vengeance where it's deserved. Must be doing something right. You realize this wasn't just banter, it was a power play, a performance to establish dominance over the new person. And you saw that his entire persona was built on a foundation of control and routine. And our second story. He yelled at me to respect the property line. I did, by making sure he could never cross it again. I was building a house in an established neighborhood, a pipe stem lot tucked behind everyone else, the very last parcel to ever be developed there, because it was the final lot. 3 sides of it were already fenced long before I came along. The footprint was small, tight, and every inch mattered. But I was excited. This was my project, my house, and it was finally happening. The first floor deck had just gone up, and the window delivery arrived. The crew unloaded them along the fence line and around the base of the foundation, spreading them out so they'd be easy to grab during installation. It wasn't ideal placement, but that's where space allowed. I happened to be there alone that day, no crew yet, no contractor, just me. Now, context, I'm a woman of color, early 30s at the time. The neighbor on the left, white male, somewhere around 55, the kind of guy who seems to wake up annoyed at the world. And sure enough, the moment he saw those windows near the fence, he came marching over like he was storming Normandy. He didn't ask questions. He didn't even say hello. He just started yelling about how those windows were on his fence, how they had to be moved right now, how this was unacceptable, and how I needed to respect the property line. He went on and on, completely red in the face, acting like I just dumped a pile of trash on his lawn. I just stared at him, straight-faced. Truly, it was the first time I'd ever seen a grown white man throw a full-blown temper tantrum in public. And I'm pretty damn certain he assumed I was some laborer or delivery helper, not the actual homeowner who commissioned the build. He didn't ask, he just barked orders. Fine, whatever. I wasn't about to waste energy arguing with him, so I moved every single one of those windows. Some of them were large 4x5 units by dragging them farther down the fence line past the boundary of his property, then propping them awkwardly against the foundation so they wouldn't fall. It wasn't fun, but at least it shut him up. Fast forward to a couple weeks later, we were framing the second floor one early evening, hammers going, saws buzzing, usual construction rhythm. I happened to glance down and see Mr. Temper Tantrum and his wife walking around their backyard, each holding a drink, heading straight for the little gate in the shared fence, clearly planning to stroll right through. Except they couldn't open it. They jiggled it, yanked it, pushed it, nothing. They walked down to the far end of the fence, trying to peek around, confused. I absolutely lost it laughing. See, after his little performance about the windows, I'd nailed that gate shut permanently. I made sure it would never be used again. After that first interaction, I was 100% certain there would never be a situation where I needed access to his side or wanted him to have access to mine. Gate problem solved. He wanted boundaries? Congratulations, now he had one he couldn't cross. And our next story. Getting yelled at in the self-checkout line. Two things that help with this story. I've always looked much younger than I actually am and always had a very youthful voice. I'm so used to being called ma'am on the phone, I just roll with it half the time. At the grocery store where this took place, I was told by an old lady who told me I was taking people's jobs by using the self-checkout line. When I rolled my eyes, she yelled at me saying, "I hope I'll take your job one day." I responded by calling her a crazy old bat. All this was witnessed by an employee who also witnessed the following 2 weeks later. It was winter in a northern state, and I'm wearing my favorite black jacket, blue jeans, and black beanie. Combine this with my youthful appearance, I was 30 at the time, and I can understand how it looks like I work in the grocery store since most of the employees were wearing black jackets/hoodies over their store color shirts, especially when I'm checking out my own groceries. So there I am, scanning and bagging my cart, when I hear, "Hey," being yelled a few times, progressively louder. I finally look up, and there's an old man yelling towards me. This man clearly was born before World War II. Which line should I stand in? I'm confused, but have years of customer service experience, so that instinct kicks in, and I say, "Sir, whichever line you want to." "But which line?" Exasperated, I tell him, "I'm sorry, I can't help with that." "Heh, some help you are." The employee from my previous awkward encounter figures it out and says, "Sir, he doesn't work here. I can take you in this line." He then looks over at me, I return the classic white person awkward smile, and he just looks at me with that unbelievable angry smile head shake. As if somehow this whole exchange was my fault? He checks out before me and leaves. As I'm finishing up, that employee comes over and says, "Why does this always happen to you?" Even since then, I've taken off that black jacket when food shopping. I feel like half of these stories could be resolved before they even happen if the person just had the self-awareness to just ask, "Excuse me, do you work here?" I imagine this guy just walks around baffled and enraged at everything he doesn't understand and is therefore wrong. I kind of pity him. And our last story. He blocked my truck at the kayak launch, so I used my tow rope to teach him a lesson. Holiday weekends always bring out the best and the worst in people. For my family and me, it was supposed to be nothing but the best. A full day of kayaking, sunshine, and finally spending time together without phones buzzing every 3 seconds. Since we all own kayaks and knew the park would be a zoo by mid-morning, we decided the smartest plan was to pile into my truck, strap all the kayaks to my utility trailer, and ride in together. One vehicle, one trailer, zero chaos. In theory. We left early enough to beat the crowds and actually managed to unload without incident. I dropped everyone at the ramp, parked in the designated trailer parking area, and joined the group for what turned out to be a perfect day on the water. Calm river, great weather, and no idiots in sight. At least not yet. By the time we paddled back in during the late afternoon, the park was absolutely stuffed. People circling for spots like vultures, kids screaming, coolers rolling everywhere, standard holiday chaos. I figured the worst we'd have to deal with was a long wait to get the trailer back down the ramp. What I didn't expect was a small silver car parked directly across the front of my truck. And not just a little close. No, this genius parked nose to nose with my truck as if he was trying to weld the bumpers together. The trailer behind me meant I had exactly zero room to maneuver. I stared at the car for a solid 10 seconds, blinked, and said, "You've got to be effing kidding me." My family came up behind me with their kayaks and froze too. My brother let out a low whistle. Whew, damn, they really just parked in front of a truck with a trailer? Who the hell does that? Someone in the crowd nearby shrugged and said, "People been improvising spots all day. It's been a mess." Great. I was sunburned, waterlogged, exhausted, and the only thing I wanted in life was a shower and a cold drink. We decided to wait. Surely whoever blocked me in would realize they were being a colossal a-hole and return within a few minutes. But 20 minutes passed, then 30. Nothing. We eventually gave up waiting and decided to hand carry the kayaks up from the ramp instead of backing the trailer down. I kept glancing back at the silver car. Still no movement, still no sign of the owner. Still sitting there smugly like a reminder that humanity was failing. Finally, I just sighed and said, "All right, fine. They want me to be the a-hole? Guess I'll be the a-hole." My wife gave me the "please don't get arrested today" look. I patted my truck. I've got 4-wheel drive and a tow package. I'll be fine. The car had a tow hook, which felt like the universe saying, "Go ahead." I unhooked my trailer, dug my tow rope out of the toolbox, and crouched down to attach it. A couple of people nearby paused their own loading to watch. One guy laughed. "Oh, this is gonna be good." Once everything was set, I climbed back into my truck, rolled forward as far as I could, eased into the tension, and gave a slow, steady pull. The silver car skidded over the sandy grass like a confused shopping cart. I moved it just far enough to swing myself out of the spot. No slamming, no jerking, no damage, just a gentle, you don't own the parking lot repositioning. Then I hooked my trailer back up, loaded the kayaks, and got ready to leave. And wouldn't you know it, the moment we were strapping the last kayak down, a guy jogged up, panting dramatically. He froze when he saw his car wasn't where he left it. Where's my car?" he asked, eyes wide. I pointed to where it sat, 10 feet from where he abandoned it. "Right where you left it, buddy, just slightly corrected." "You moved it?" he sputtered. "You blocked a truck with a trailer," I said, "in a trailer-only lot. What'd you think was going to happen?" He opened his mouth, closed it, then stomped toward his car, muttering something about entitled truck owners. A group of people watching snorted and rolled their eyes at him. My brother leaned over and whispered, "Bet he doesn't try that crap again." As we pulled out of the park, dust blowing behind us, I couldn't help smiling. If you're going to treat other people's time and property like they don't matter, don't be shocked when someone with a tow rope and a lifted truck reminds you otherwise. Some lessons stick better when they come with tire tracks. The fact that people were watching, laughing, and openly rooting for you is the social verdict. It proves you weren't the entitled truck owner he tried to paint you out as. You were the hero of the trailer lot, the one who dealt with the problem everyone else was just complaining about. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.